Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Today we are very excited to review Twilight Inscription.
Yes, the roll and write version of Twilight Imperium.
Yes, we have played Twilight Imperium, and now we are going to do an overview and what we think of it, and then let you know as well with connections of Twilight Imperium.
Yes, which Twilight Imperium did we play? Was it
I think four.
I think?
4.
I believe it was 4.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So it's a roll and write game. It should be unsurprising to anyone that it's on the complicated side. Yeah, Twilight Imperium, well known for being an epic encounter.
Surprise! No.
So the game, it flows like most roll and writes, with a couple of twists, which are quite nice. So game will play over a set of rounds, which are driven by these cards. Ultimately, you've got 13 or 14 standard sort of roll and write rounds. And you've got 4 sheets that deal with the different X's of Twilight Imperium's typical 4X. So you've got navigation, you've got expansion, you've got industry, and warfare.
Yep.
In a typical round, what's going to happen is you'll flip an event card and it will look something like this. And there will be there will be some number of the game's resources shown here. The materials, which are the most common. There's blue, which is influence, and there's green, which is research. And they get less common as you go down that. Everyone then picks one of the 4 boards to have as their active sheet for this round, and then uses these resources on that board. And sometimes you're just crossing that resource out. Sometimes you're doing the action that corresponds to that. So let's say I've picked navigation as my board. I would now spend 3 pink on navigation actions.
Which is exploration.
Which would do something like this. I won't explain all of the rules here, but you would do those 3 actions. Then the dice get rolled. And there are 6 dice. 3 of them are the basic dice in black. Those show those same resources. And then 3 of them are the focus dice, and each of those has a specific resource on it, either 1 or 2 of them. So pink is the color of the materials resource. So this is the materials focus die. It'll give you 1 or 2 pinks. The start of the game, might as well not even look at these. You don't have access to them. All you do is you get the resources shown on the black dice, the basic dice, and you have to spend them on the same board that you picked for the card resources. So you're choosing your board based on half of the icons you'll get, and then you'll get other icons and you spend them. So again, I would do whatever these icons give me on this board. That's an example of it there. As you'll see, you got these orange chalk pens here that shine up against the Twilight Imperium black, and that's really what's going on. Now, as you go through the game, you'll be unlocking a whole lot of bonuses. You'll be unlocking various icons. You can unlock dice. So the focus dice, they're shown in a couple of places on these boards, and when you unlock one, it lets you use that colored focus die, but only on 1 board. So you have to choose which of the 4 boards you want to level up that resource on. So it sounds really slow going, moving towards that, but you'll build up towards the end of the game. You'll have probably 2 or 3 of the boards where you'll be using focus dice by the end of the game. And that's really how it works. So navigation, you go out looking there are points, there are commodities that you can put down on your industry track.
So they're interlinked.
Yep. And there's relics. You can find relics floating in space. Those are cards which give you various abilities.
Points and abilities.
Yep. But the most critical things are you can find planets. Planets, you need to unlock the planets on the expansion. So you can't start crossing anything out on expansion until you have unlocked the planets.
And then these planets, how it works, once you unlock that, you choose something to unlock, and then when the right dice roll happens, and then you just cross off these in the middle, and then you gain the bonuses on the row on column N.
Yep. Yeah, so this is a grid type of thing. This is a point-to-point network type of thing. This is the industry track. It's another sort of point-to-point type of thing, you'll be expanding out through here, mostly getting things on the commodities track. And then in warfare, you'll be spending resources to build what are these called? Things that fight each other. You'll be doing
Things that fight each other, like spaceships, warship.
Yeah. You'll be drawing them in your warfare grids and using them. There are 10 intermediate scoring rounds in the game. 3 of them you'll be scoring your industry track, so you can, as you fill in these columns, you'll be gaining trade goods production, and then you just fill in those trade goods each production round, and they'll give you points at the end of the game. There's a council track here, so 3 of the intermediate scoring will introduce a council. Everyone earns votes, and then one of these cards gets flipped. Everyone spends secretly a number of votes on either passing or failing this, and it will result in some positive thing happening or some negative thing happening. It really depends what the players vote for. So a bit of interaction between the players here, especially if you go hard on this track, which in addition is worth quite a lot of points. The third one, there are 4 intermediate warfare phases, including the very last turn of the game will be a warfare. And you will fight a war against each of your neighbours to the left and right. And whoever has put the most strength into the war gets the positive reward. Whoever put less loses a point. There are welcome to style objectives here. First to meet it gets the high number of points. Anyone else who meet it gets the low number of points. What else is there? There's a bunch of places where you can gain populations. So a big chunk of points comes from this population track, discovering various planets.
There are straight points as well.
And as in Twilight Imperium, the central planet of Mechatol Rex, it's not central on this board, but it is there. It's the big planet. Everyone's racing to Mechatol Rex, and whoever gets there first gets some bonus points, bonus votes. So a good chunk of points for racing to Mechatol Rex there as well.
And each board is asymmetric, so it looks different. One board is there, another board was somewhere down the bottom.
Yep, there's a symmetrical side. And everyone has a faction as well. So a personal ability, a couple of personal abilities. So lots of asymmetry in the game.
And replayability.
Yeah. So there we have it. That is the summary.
And if you play with 2 players, there is a
bot.
Yes.
And the bot will be accumulating votes. The bot looks at these dice, basically, and will be gradually accumulating votes, gradually accumulating strength for war, and we'll be racing to these objectives and to Mechatol Rex to try to take the high point scorers away from you.
Thanks, Tarrant. I couldn't put it better than you. So what do you think, Tarrant?
It's good. It is I think it's a nice twist on like there's lots going on, but it's a nice twist on the simple roll and write, having these dice, having dice you can unlock, and having to choose one board to play from. I mean, when you break it down, a lot of roll and writes are very similar. This is what makes this one different, and it's a nice little feature. And I think it plays very well. I think the boards are different enough. I think there's enough benefit to specialising. There's enough interaction between them that mean you don't want to completely specialise. So that's good. I think the downside for me personally is the voting and the warfare. You know, I think we're both kind of Care Bears in gaming a bit, so we're not that big into the war games. We're not that big into this sort of voting stuff. It's strange to see that in a roll and write. And I mean, it's got to be there because that's a big part of the Twilight Imperium of what it is. And it's obviously what they've designed into here. And I think they've done a good job of designing it in there. It's not my cup of tea, but it's been done in a way that still lets you kind of play that private roll and write, but has some sort of interaction. So yeah, I'm not going to fault it because of that. I'm going to say it's not my style, but it's very well put together.
The first time I see this, I was like, what? Roll and write? There's not only one, not 2 but 4 different boards. And I was like, what? But again, this is Twilight Imperium. You don't expect anything light and fluffy. And compared to Hadrian's Wall, I think this is kind of like almost on par with in complexity with Hadrian's Wall. So if you have played it and you like it, maybe this one as well. It has got that similar trying to chain your combo from one to another, except that there are many times that when you're trying to chain a combo, you can't chain it immediately. You would gain it. Well, those like small dots here, the dots one, you gain it and you gain it immediately. But the one that's not dots, like these ones, you just circle it. And then when you use it, then you cross it. So you have to remember you have it. And then when you move eventually to the next other one of the 4 boards, then you use that bonus somewhere else.
Yeah, you do have to be quite precise with your bookkeeping to keep track of everything.
Yes.
Because there's enough going on that you have to think about it.
That is the only, I think that's probably the downside of keeping that, remember, maybe you just have to keep track of, okay, I've unlocked this. You can see this because this is a, what do you call it, chalkboard?
Chalk pen.
Chalk pen. So when you, let's just keep the circling on this one. You can see it. You can see it there, but it's not that super obvious once you circle a lot of things, once you cross a lot of things. It'll be everywhere, and then it's slightly harder to keep track of what you circle that you haven't used.
Yeah.
You need to focus on those things. And speaking about the pen, this is why we've got another layer of tablecloth over our fancy gaming mat.
Yes.
It's because this will stain, it might stain your gaming table. So really careful with this one.
Yeah.
It's a bit tough as well to clean. I always believe in cleaning properly after playing roll and write. So when I clean this, best is probably, I've used kind of like slightly wettish paper towel. The thing that comes with it, it doesn't really clean properly. And you want to clean yours so that it can be played again properly.
Yeah, and the rulebook does give you an explanation on how to deal with it and clean it, because it is not typical to have a chalk pen.
Yep.
It's much more typical to have a dry erase or just a pen and paper. So.
I can understand why they do this, because they want to be thematic, which is great. This is like a darker color. So in order to make it work, they have to use this pen, but that's the case. So when you rub it, it's like that. But I'm like, oh, this is okay, but when it's like big and then it's accumulated here and becomes pretty hard to clean up. And that's it. But apart from that, Hadrian's Wall chaining, it's really, really thinky. It's really well put together. It's really done. And as Tarrant said, we're a bit of Care Bear, so we can't, attacking. But it's definitely like this one. So there's 2 columns basically. So one column would attack to the player to the right, and the other column attacks the player to the left. That's it.
Yeah, as much as we complain about it, the combat is no worse the combat is no worse than Seven Wonders.
Yeah, it's simple.
It's just, do you have more than the player on your left or right?
So it's actually not too bad. It is not too bad. So I personally, because of that, prefer this rather than Twilight Imperium because of being Care Bear.
Yes.
And plus it's like 8 hours.
And because it doesn't take 8 hours.
Yeah, so if you want something that feels a bit like that, do this one because it takes probably 3 hours rather than 8 hours.
3 hours. This game can play up to 8.
Yeah.
And
8 people or 8 hours?
8 people.
We're talking about hours.
It will, and it's not a short teach for a roll and write. You do have a lot of different mechanisms to go through all at once.
Speaking about teach, will you do how to play Tarrant?
I don't know. We'll see.
Let us know if you want us to do that, or maybe we've already have it. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? But I would like to have. I would love it to have to play videos later on when I want to play it again. I forgot, and then just look at something that is not too overly long. It's not like over an hour.
Yep.
Do you think it will be over an hour? No, it will be like. What? How long do you think you can do it?
Look, when it all comes down to it, there's not very much here that you haven't seen before in a roll and write. The industry one is probably the most complex, but when it comes down to it, these are all things you've seen before. There's
That's
just a
actually
lot
correct.
of them all at once.
So would I challenge you to do less than 30 minutes how to play?
Oh yeah, it'll be less. Do it
Oh!
in less than 30.
We'll see about that. We'll see about
Whether
that.
you understand it or not. You should be able to teach this in less than 30 minutes.
Okay,
For
okay.
people who are familiar with roll and writes.
Yeah, but what happens if you don't familiar? You probably won't play this anyway. It's like, oh, I haven't played roll and write before. Would you recommend Twilight
This isn't
Inscription?
where you'd start, that's true. There's cartographers, then welcome to, then Twilight.
Oh, but you
Inscription.
would put cartographers before welcome to. I would put welcome to before cartographers.
Well, I
Gunshot clever.
I normally would in the past, but then when we played both of those at a big meetup in a huge room style, what's
Oh,
it
yeah.
called? A multi
Mega games.
a mega game. Yeah, we played both of them, and we did welcome to on the first night, and then cartographers on the second, and at least one person, I think a couple, commented that cartographers was easier for
Okay.
first-time players to get into. There was a few fewer things
All right.
going on.
So, in summary, we both really enjoy it. The warfare is not as bad for us care-based. It's really like Seven Wonders Duel
In a
style.
sense.
And I think just slightly frustrating with, remembering which icons because of just the colors. It could be my eyes as well.
They do have a good system set up though.
Exactly.
For, if you follow the system and the rules carefully, then the accounting is fine.
Yeah.
They've thought it through.
Yeah, so the admin is not too bad in general. It was just me. And just trying to, it's just with the same other good roll and write, you have to just focus. Do you want to completely ignore something? Do you want to just focus on industry, but you can't really ignore other things as well? So probably more specialization and then a little bit of generalization maybe. What's your favorite roll and write? Let me know in the comments. We'll want to see whether you have played Hadrian's Wall. Have you played this? Are you excited for the Essen release? Because this is going to be Essen release. It was released in Gen Con as well, I believe. Or maybe not.
You would know. I would know.
So let us know in the comment sections below, and would really love if you please hit the like button and comments below if you want us to do more video like this, or even learn how to play for Twilight Inscription. I'm also on Instagram, so find me there as well, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye!